All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. Okay, so we got a story for you. And this is one of those stories I really like to report on because it again shows the bravery of African countries and how African countries are pushing back at bullies in many European and Western countries. So now we're talking about Namibia. So Namibia recently revoked visa exemptions for 31 countries. And these countries include Western countries and European countries. And I want to talk about this because this is one of those things that I think in our lifetime, as it relates to Africa, really pushing back and standing their ground and dishing out the same meal that a lot of these Western and European countries are dishing to them. And more importantly, we're seeing these types of bravery and standing up to the bully from smaller African countries. Namibia, a population of 2.5 million people, standing up to a lot of these Western countries, US included, and revoking their visa exemption. I'm telling you, this is one of those lovely videos that I like to make because it redefines who we are, that we're not scared people. You can intimidate us, but at some point we're going to push back. And we're going to do it with vigor. And I love making this type of videos. And I'm going to continue to give you guys this type of content. And please, by all means, show your love to the content, you know. And I'm starting to see my videos and content like this get so much love from you guys. So I want to say thank you to every one of you who are supporting this channel. Thank you to all my subscribers. Thank you to everyone that viewed this channel. Thank you for the positive feedbacks that I get on this channel. And I'm starting to see a lot of you show your love through your super chats. I don't usually ask for that on this channel, but by all means, I am appreciative of it. And whenever I see a love like that through super chats on any of my video, I'm going to give you guys the kudos. So this kudos goes to at I'll say less 1699. We'll give a $10 super chat on one of my videos. And I want to say thank you so much for that. And every time you guys do such things, I'm going to pin your comment. Your comment will be the only comment pinned up to that video because that is a love that I truly, truly appreciate. So by all means, feel free to show your love. Well, thanks to every one of you who show your love also by watching the video, supporting and subscribing to the channel. So I thank you so much for it. So let's talk about Namibia and their recent announcement to revoke, I love it, to revoke visa exemptions to countries who are not reciprocating the same love to their own citizens. Okay, let me read this for you. So the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security at the Republic of Namibia released a media release on May 24th of this year. It says Cabinet approves implementation of visa requirements for non-reciprocating countries. The Cabinet of Republic of Namibia has granted authorization to the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security to introduce an entry visa requirement to countries that have not reciprocated the favorable treatment granted to their nationals when visiting Namibia. This strategic decision, aimed at fostering fair and balanced diplomatic relations, will affect a total of 31 countries. In recent years, the Republic of Namibia, through the Ministry of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security, has extended gestures of goodwill and favorable treatment to nationals of various countries. However, despite these efforts, certain nationals have not reciprocated. In light of this disparity, the government has deemed it necessary to implement a visa requirement to ensure parity and fairness in diplomatic interactions. The date of implementation and application will be communicated at a later stage through diplomatic channels. Nationals from the 31 countries will be issued with visa upon arrival in Namibia at an applicable fee, in addition to online visa application. Okay, so that was the media release that just came out from Namibia. So Namibia basically says, you know what, enough is enough. You know, we keep showing our love to a lot of these countries, whose citizens, nationals, get to come to our country, visa-free, no questions asked. All they got to show is their passport from their countries. And they get to come into our country, explore our land, vacation in our country, and all of that good stuff. So that's all good. But then we've seen an overwhelming case where our nationals and our citizens go to these countries. And these countries are requiring such visa requirement. In many cases, they're turning their citizens away, shitting on their citizens. The same gesture is not extended to Namibians. Okay, so here are the countries. You ready? There are 31 of them. So I'm not going to read all 31. I'm just going to go over the ones that I think most of you want to hear. Okay, so Australia, Azerbaijan, Belarus, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Iceland, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Kazakhstan, Moldova, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland. You have Ukraine, you have the United Kingdom, and you have the United States. Those are that's saying a lot. That is saying a lot. That a country like Namibia, 2.5 million in population, dared to tell the likes of these countries that I've just read for you, that's enough of that. Your citizens now are going to require a visa to come to our country, right? We're going to start making money from that visa application also. The same way you guys require it from our citizens and making money. Because, immigration is a money-making thing for many countries. Oh, do you know how much billions of dollars the United States makes from people that come to visit the country? From the visiting visa or from people who are applying for residency to come to this country. Make billions of dollars. Not to mention there's a huge politics with denying applications too. There's a huge politics because if they deny you the application, they still made that money from the application fee. And they know you're going to reapply. So they double. Oh, they know you're going to reapply. So they make money from you 2 times. They make money from you twice or 3 times. But they finally approve you. So there's a huge politics with that. It's a huge money-making thing. For both these European countries, Western countries, a lot of them. And Namibia isn't getting that kind of revenue because they're showing good gesture. They're like, no, we want to show that we're favorable, we're friendly, and they are. Namibia is a friendly place. Let me help you understand a little bit about Namibia because some people don't, certain African countries you hear about. You hear about Nigeria, you hear about South Africa, you hear about Ghana, you hear about Rwanda. There are countries you don't really hear about in Africa. Beautiful countries that you don't hear about. Namibia is one of those. Namibia is a very, very small African country, 2.5, almost 2.6 million in population. The country has a stable democratic government. They don't have a lot of, uprisings that you hear in a lot of Africa. So they're very stable. The crimes in Namibia are very low, very low. They're very peaceful, very friendly people. You go there, they ain't bothering nobody. They just want people to come. They're very, very, very friendly people. In addition to all of that, what Namibia is known for is wildlife paradise. Wildlife excursion. Safari. Namibia is known for that. In addition to, it's very clean. It's a very clean country. So this is attractive to a lot of these European and Western countries. It's attractive to them because Namibia is that place that they like to go to and paint Africa as such. When they go to the safari places, to white people, that's all Africa looks like. So they get to go to places like Namibia within the safari, take pictures with the rhinos, with the elephants, with lions in the excursion. And to them, they like to come back This is where what Africa looks like. This is Africa, right? They don't go to the beautiful part of Africa, paved road, like when you go to like places like Abuja, Lagos, and you find the big architectural buildings. You find such great fashion. The people in Lagos, Abuja, in Nigeria, in many African countries have beautiful people, beautiful monuments, beautiful women. The women are so gorgeous. You will look at them, you will think they were models. The men are all well dressed, very sophisticated, very successful, drive fancy cars, live in nice high-rise buildings. That will confuse a lot of white people. Because if you brought that type of stuff and you took a picture in one of those places and you put it on your fridge, your friends come, you got to explain that. They're like, where is this? Like, that's Lagos. Like, huh? Yeah. Imagine a white person taking a picture when they go to Abuja or Lagos or one of those places in Nigeria. And it shows such beautiful architecture, structure. It'll confuse your white friends. Because then you have to explain, like, hold on a second, that's Lagos? Really? And you're like, yeah. And then you have to go on and brag about it. Because what the picture that most white people have is not of that. They have the picture of Namibia. And Namibia has all of these nice places, by the way. But they like to go to the safari because that's the picture they have. Because that's easy for them to paste that on their wall or put that, on their Facebook or one of those places to show their friends. And people can easily be like, oh, yeah, that's Africa. Oh, wow. Such a beautiful place. Yeah, safari. And you can use that to say, yeah, my church ministry went there and we donated to the locals. That's an easy sell. That's the easy sell. Where you're showing that, you stand next to some village person, that's dressed in some African attire, tie-dye, one of those things, half naked. You love that. That's easy sell because you can put that and your white friends can be like, oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah. Somewhere in the safari jungle, you take pictures and you show smile. You show yourself taking pictures, giving money to the kids. So that's easy sell. Than having to show, someone like me, in my suit, dressed up nice, sitting up here somewhere in Banana Island or Lekki Phase 1. And I'm in some restaurant, fancy, white tablecloth, and the ocean view is right there. You show that kind of picture, people are like, huh? Where is this place? That might confuse a lot of people. No, that's Lagos. So all of these people, the reason why most of these countries go to Namibia is because of that, the safari in Namibia. Namibia is beautiful. It's got a whole bunch of other stuff, but they're known for this. They're known to have beautiful safaris. And for those of you that might say that, oh, this was easy for Namibia to do this because it's not that brave for them to do, let me help you understand this. That it wasn't easy for them to do. This was a gutsy thing. So in addition to what generates revenue for Namibia, including oil and gas, tourism is their biggest thing. See, in 2022, Namibia generated $155 million in tourism. This is not an easy decision for them to make. This is a cost. It was impacted during COVID, and they were starting to really build that whole tourism, revenue back again from these white countries whom they've now imposed, visa exemption on. So it wasn't easy for them to do. This is an act of bravery. And I say kudos to Namibia. This is an act of bravery. That's $155 million and counting that they're used to generating from allowing these white countries, white citizens, to go to their country and do the excursion in their safaris and the wildlife and all of that, take pictures, the kind of pictures I've just told you. That's the kind of revenue they generate. And so for them to say, hold on a second, we don't like how you're treating our citizens. We don't like how you're treating our African citizens. When they come to your country, they require all these XYZs and paperwork. And many times you send them back and you shit on them. And your citizens come to our country and they're visa free. They come in and they stay and they can come in and out like nothing. No, we need to put an end to this. That is bravery. That is bravery. That's why I'm on this story. Because it wasn't easy for them to do that. And I think it's important that Africa begins to really take notes, other African countries. You see, isn't it amazing that we're seeing these types of bravery from small African countries? We're seeing these types of pushing back at bullies, pushing back at the likes of the United States, France, England, Canada, many of these countries in the West who have imposed themselves on many African countries because they think that, everyone wants to come to our country. Come on, we're the West, we're the U.S. You want to come here, so we can afford to shit on you and your citizens, and you can fight back. Isn't it amazing that we're seeing small countries in Africa are the ones that are stepping up to the mantle and then pushing back at these bullies? We've seen this play out in many Sahel countries who have driven the likes of France and the US and their military base out of their country. Now we're seeing the rise of Senegal trying to take the mantle. We're seeing the rise of Namibia pushing back at this. We're seeing small African countries putting their name on Pan-Africanism, putting their staple on Pan-Africanism, saying you can't treat our citizens like this. If you're going to show kind gestures to you, we expect that you reciprocate that back to us. And since you're not going to do that, we're going to also impose the same visa restrictions on you. That's fair. So they get to make money now from these countries. Visa on arrival, the application fee, they get to make the same money from them. So it's the same thing. It's fair. They haven't done anything that is not fair. This is fair. But I commend their bravery, because I think it's important that African countries really begin to understand the value they hold in the world. It hasn't really been a good week. I'm telling you, it hasn't been a good week and a month for the United States. It really hasn't, because this is one from Namibia. And recently we also heard that Saudi Arabia decided to end its 50-year petrodollar agreement with the United States. Something that was signed back in 1974 on June 8th of 1974. They didn't renew that. It is expired. Saudi Arabia has told the likes of the United States, we're not going to be exclusively selling our oil in US dollar anymore. It hasn't been a good week for the United States. I can even dare say it hasn't been a good year for the United States. More and more countries have been pushing back at the United States and saying, hey, you know what? Forget this. Enough of this. Your reign of bullying and pushing everyone forward is over. Saudi Arabia, which is the largest oil producing and export country in the world today. Saudi Arabia, when you talk about oligarchs, when you talk about a cartel type of distribution, Saudi Arabia holds that position when it comes to oil. Now, of course, we all know that oil is becoming less dependent in a lot of countries, and Saudi Arabia understands that, which is why they've been, spending a lot of their time building their country up in other ways so they're no longer dependent on oil. But today, as it stands, oil is the largest revenue generator. And to deal a huge blow to say to the United States, we're no longer going to sell our oil in US dollars. We're going to allow our oil to be sold in other currencies. That's a huge blow to the dollar. That's de-dollarization. So it hasn't been a good week and a good month for the United States. BRICS is gaining momentum. So you have the likes of this powerhouse, the United States, United Kingdom, who's having huge economic turmoil, by the way. The prime minister over there, he's in trying to run for re-election. He wants to be done with this because the country is in huge financial problem. France is mad at Russia because Russia has been aligning herself to African countries. Russia, who, with all the sanctions that the United States and many of these Western countries, NATO alliance imposed on Russia, has not deterred Russia. Russia has gained momentum, and many African countries are aligning with Russia. And so BRICS which Russia is part of, is starting to gain a huge momentum. Saudi Arabia became part of BRICS. And so these same giants, as it comes to oil distribution, now it says, no, hold on, I bet it has something to do with the whole BRICS agenda. I bet you it has a lot to do with that. Because the whole idea of BRICS is to have currencies and countries trade in their own currency. And so for the petrodollar no longer to be exclusively US dollar, that's a huge blow on the US dollar. Huge. So you're finding the de-dollarization from Saudi Arabia. Nigeria with India signed a trade partnership agreement to de-dollarize and to trade with each other's currency. So countries, it's a dawn of a new day, for God's sakes. It's a dawn of a new day. This is why many small countries are taking stands against a lot of these so-called bullies and giants, because they're tired of it. So you have the likes of Namibia. You have the likes of Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, Mali. You have the likes of many countries stepping up and say, hey, to hell with the Europeans. To hell with their bully. We're standing strong and we're standing firm. We're no longer going to take it lying down anymore. If they dish it to us, we'll dish it right back to them. So there's a new global alliance forming. And it's an amazing and fascinating thing to see in our time. And more importantly, what is very, very key in all of this is the spirit of Pan-Africanism. Black people looking out for black people. Africans looking out for Africa. What is common with all of this is Pan-Africanism. The reason why Niger, right, went through a coup to push back at France is because they want to look out for their own people. The reason why Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso pushed back and had a coup in his country, in Burkina Faso, and they're pushing back and telling France to get out of their country, is they want to look out for their own people. Now we're seeing Namibia looking out for its own people and say, hey, if you're going to deny our people visa in your country and require a whole lot of this, we're going to require it of your own citizens too. That's Pan-Africanism. That's Africans looking out for Africa. That's amazing. That's an amazing thing. You know, because it's part of, it's that human psychology. Because at some point, the young person is going to be tired of the bully. I mean, at some point, the young person who has been getting the brunt of the attack, the brunt of, you know, injustice, is going to stand up to that person and say, hey, you know what? To hell with you, man. I know you've been kicking me while I'm down every single time because you're stronger, you're richer. I know you've been doing this. At some point, I'm just going to bark back. I'm going to bark back. I don't care how it hurts me. I don't care what damage I incur off of this. I'm just going to bark back and I'm going to fight back. I got nothing to lose at this point. And usually what happens when you see that type of reaction from a younger or lesser person, the person who is doing the bully usually steps back. For the first time in their life, they realize that their position can be challenged. And that's what Africa is doing. And so I say kudos to Namibia. Kudos to them. Make that money off of the visa. Make that money off of the application, because that's how they do it here. Make that money. Require the same thing. Right? Make sure you milk it. And I hope that other African countries will emulate this. Right? Because when we come to their country, they do the same thing to us. They're like, no. They ban us. They put on restriction. But they get to ride free in our country. Because why? Because they come from the West and Europe. So I think it's a good thing. And I think that we need to see more and more of Pan-Africanism rise up. We need to see more and more of this type of thing. And as we see it, I'm going to keep reporting it to you, because I know that Africa is rising. I've been telling you guys this. Africa is rising. The spirit of Africa is rising. It's a beautiful and fascinating thing to see an empire in these countries, in this part of the world, fall, and to see other ones forming alliance and saying, you know what, we're going to stand up, we're going to join forces. This is a problem for this side of the world. And I love it. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Please like this video, share this content, subscribe to this channel, and I will see you all next time.
Det finns ingen annan där som kan stå här by my side, oh why. Sättet du rör på det får mig att dö för det baby. För de här yardis, de vill ju bara dra ner oss. Men du är fett och vanlig. Och det jag lägger all min tid, jag vill ha det. Du får mig känna safety.